All right, this lesson is for all you cynical people out there that always ask, when am I ever going to use all these things I learned in 7th grade? And so here we are looking at interest. All right, let me see if I can focus. All right. All right, so now what happens is, here's we have, this is a simple interest, and I hope you like the question. What is simple interest? And I'm in 7th grade, why do I care? All right, so we're trying to at least say, hey, we know we've been saying you have to do this. It's important. You use math forever in your real life. And half the time we're talking about, if you go to the store and buy $17, it's like, I'm never going to do that. So here's something that should actually apply a little bit. And there's a simple formula here called I equals PRT. I equals PRT. All right, you don't have to memorize this. This will be given to you. And so what happens here is I is going to stand for interest. All right, and this is going to be the money earned or extra money, all right, or additional money is good. So additional money, so what you're getting. All right, the principal, and you're going to sit there and say, Mr. Hyde, that's wrong. It's right. This is spelled just like the actual person. Mr. Bodwell, it's spelled just like that. There's another way to spell principal, but that's more for rules. The principles of business are. This is principal can be used as principal, the person, or here. And this is going to be the start money. All right, this is going to be the start money or what you invest. All right, so here's what happens. Again, this is very simple, so this is not complicated, and interest gets extremely complicated. So here's what happens is basically you're starting a business. You tell somebody, listen, I'll give you some money to start, and what am I going to get from you? And they're going to look and say, hey, I'm going to give you 10% back. So whatever you give me, I'm going to give you 10% more than that. And you don't have to do anything. All you're doing is giving me money. And so there's just a way that you'll hear this, and I know you've heard of the idea of investments. So I give you money now, you give me more later. I'm not doing anything except giving you money. And you think, why would someone do this? It's because people don't have money, and you do, so you invest just to make it. All right? And so what happens is we have two more things. We have the idea of rate. So this is going to be our interest rate. And then we have T for time. Now, time is always looking as a year. All right? We're always looking for it as a year. All right, and I think if that's right, yeah, we're just going to keep very simple for now and just say it's always going to be a year, all right? And sometimes you have to keep that in mind. You have to convert it, all right? So you'll have to convert it to a year on occasion, and we'll see that on one of the examples. All right, so here's what we're looking at. Example 1. So you put $500 in a savings account. The account earns 3% interest per year. A, what is the interest earned after 3 years? And B, what is the balance? This is the way banks work. They say, listen, if you give us your money, you can put it in the account, and if it just sits there, then we're going to just, we'll give you a little bit of it. A savings account's not going to give you a big investment, but they will give you a little bit just for saying, hey, give us your money. And while it's sitting there, they're going to use it. So they're going to use some of your money to invest and things like that, but at any time, if you want it, they'll give it to you. All right? So here's what happens. Let's look at what the idea of the interest is going to be. Remember, I is going to be our interest. So let's look at this problem. So if I have I, P, R, and T in this problem, what's my I? What's my interest? I don't know. That's the first question. I don't know. What's the principal? What am I starting with? I'm putting in $500. What's my rate? 3%. You can't put 3 here. Remember, we never use a percent in a problem, so we're going to call that 0.03. Don't use 0.3 because that'll be 30%. And if you find a savings account with 30%, put more money in it. All right? Because it's a very good deal. And so A is asking, we're talking about 3 years in both of these, so we'll call it T3. So what happens is I'm going to plug this into the formula now. I equals PRT. I don't know the interest. I know it's 500 times 0.03 times 3. This is a good place for a calculator. If you want to do it by hand, feel free. 500 times 0.03 times 3 will give you $45. And you're thinking, wow, after 3 years, I made $45. That's amazing. I don't even need a job in the future because I can make $15 a year. Um, I really hope you know that's sarcasm. So what happens is you're thinking, why would someone do this? And you're thinking, well, if I had more money, this would be a lot big of a deal. Let me start over. This would be a bigger deal if I had more money to invest. But also at the same time, this is just free money. So think about the idea that you didn't touch it and you just made $50. So that's just something nice to know. And so what happens now is interest is $45. So A, what's my interest? I made $45 in interest. And B is going to say, what's my balance? All right. So remember, your balance was just the idea of what you started with plus the $45. So that's going to be $545. All right. So what's my interest? I made $45. What's my balance? I just add them together and I have $545. So that should be fairly simple. Again, I will give you the formula, but I won't tell you what they mean. So you have to know what I, P, R, and T mean. But I'm pretty sure at this point, the hardest part would be principal. But as long as you let start, what you earn, go from there. All right. So now example 2 is a little bit more difficult, where again, I, P, that's a B, Mr. Hyde, R, T. You put $1,000 in the account, so that's my principal. That's what I started with. The account earns $1,000 in simple interest. So my account earns $100. So that's my interest. In 4 years, so there's my time for what's the annual rate? I don't know. So I'm going to sit there and say I equals PRT. And again, I'll say it again. I know I'm going a little fast, but I know most of you, this is just a simple equation, but you can always rewind and look where this is coming again. So I is 100, P is 1,000, R I don't know, and then T is 4. All right, so let's do a quick little review again. Why is I 100? Remember, I is the interest. That's what you earn. So I earned $100. Remember, my P is my principal. What did I start with? I put $1,000 in the account. I earned $100, and it was 4 years. That's my T. So now there's a couple different ways I can do this. I can say, what's 4 times 1,000? I can divide by 1,000, then divide by 4. However I want to do it. So like I said, I told you before when we learned equations have some freedom where you can kind of do what you want. So if I want to get R by itself, because it's the only thing I don't know, what do I want to get rid of first? Again, you could just multiply 4,000 and divide by that. So there's the shortcut. So let's just say I divide by 4, both sides. And so I get 100 divided by 4 is 25. And then I get 1,000R because my 4's disappear. So then I get this. So then I divide by 1,000. And then I would get R is equal to 25 divided by 1,000. All right. So 25 divided by 1,000. And I get 0.025. All right. So if I get 0.025, that's my R. So keep that in mind. Now I want a rate. So my rate is going to be 2.5%. And you go, wait, what? Remember again, this is the decimal. I want a rate, so I'm going to make it to a percent. So I move it over once, twice, once for 1 0, twice for 2 zeros, and 100. And that's where I get the 2.5 from.